Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. And yesterday I watched the final round of Formula 1 for 2023, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And I decided to wait a little bit to sort of get my thoughts in order because I'm very aware of how negative this video might come across. And I do have a lot of negative feelings about Formula 1 right now. This was a very tedious race. And it was entirely made up of DRS overtakes. We were kind of just waiting for things to happen. I wouldn't say there was any great battles throughout the field. It had a very similar result to most of the races this year. Not just Max Verstappen winning, but once again the teams in the points are the teams you expect to be in the points, with the exception of Yuki Tsunoda, who did do a fantastic job. But everyone else is kind of who you expected to be there. The real battles going into this race were Mercedes versus Ferrari. Whilst Ferrari did at least push Mercedes to the end, they couldn't quite do it, and that was really the only interesting thing. Although Charles Leclerc jumping up to 5th in the championship, he's jumped Norris and Sainz. And it's not a shock because actually the last few races he has driven very well, but it seemed like an outside chance, so I guess that's the biggest shock we could have expected all weekend. Fernando Alonso finishing 4th in the championship, which I believe is his best result at the end of a Formula 1 season since 2013. So, you know, I think in the last 10 years he's had one podium, and then this year he's had 8. So it's a very, very good year for Alonso. Other than that, Hamilton struggled at Abu Dhabi again, so the Abu Dhabi curse is still in effect. He has, of course, won here 5 times in the past, but he had no pace this weekend and struggled home to 9th. Verstappen dominated again. Honestly, words can't do justice to how good his season has been. 19 wins, most of the sprint races as well. He has, I don't actually know how many points he's dropped all year, but it's not very many. And really, apart from Singapore, it's been an incredible year. 10 out of 10. Superlatives don't exist for this. It's just amazing. It'll be interesting to see where Red Bull are next year, if they can continue this. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, although maybe not to the same degree. I think Ferrari as well are due to bounce back. Mercedes will always be interesting because, you know, an entity like Mercedes, you can always expect them to come back strong. It's been a hard couple of years, but they are experienced enough, they're a big enough company, they have the expertise, they have the personnel. There's no reason to think that Mercedes can't be winning races again very soon. It'd be interesting to see what Aston Martin do. There's definite ambition there. McLaren have come on strong. It'd be interesting to see if they can keep that going. Alpine, it's kind of always just hoping they can catch up to the main pack. They've never really been able to do it, and everyone else has kind of just fallen away. Alfa Romeo, of course, leaving the series, and Sauber being Sauber for a couple of years before Audi jump in. The future of Andretti is still up in the air. Formula 1 has an interesting future, but I'm kind of glad the 2023 season has come to an end because it's been dour. I was very happy to see it come to an end. I was tired of it. Too much racing. It's not been very interesting racing. I don't like the regulations. I think a lot of people were waiting for this rejuvenation of Formula 1 that hasn't come. I don't like the calendar. Most of the tracks they go to are boring. I don't like sprint races. I don't like DRS. The tyres, the rules are just off. It just doesn't feel like it works. They got someone on during the broadcast, and they even said that the issue with the tyres is it'd be actually better if there were more pit stops, but at the same time you don't want to see the tyres overheat because that stops the racing. They need to work something out of that. I think fuel would help. I think that the reason they stopped fuel stops was because it's kind of dangerous. Things were bursting into flames. But IndyCar, I think, proves you can do it safely and sensibly, and it aids racing. It aids strategies. It puts cars on different strategies. It mixes things up. It's something they should think about. Other than that, honestly, a redesign of the cars, there's still too many bits hanging off. I think the thing they did with World Endurance Championship, where they had certain numbers they had to hit in terms of like downforce and stuff, and how the teams got there, that was up to them. Maybe those sort of rules should be brought into Formula 1 as well. I think people like Adrian Newey would really excel under those rules and do interesting things. Otherwise, I think at the moment it's just pretty much we're set to have this exact same format for the next couple of years at least. And it's boring. The racing is boring. And I started to think maybe I just don't like motorsport at the moment. Maybe I'm having a bit of a down period on it. That's not true. I mean, Super Formula, Super GT, World Endurance Championship, I have been hyped as hell for all year. When those races were coming around, I looked forward to them. Formula 1, I did not. And I think it's definitely a mistake to have 22 races in a year because it makes these problems more pronounced. If I had 16 and spread the races out, I would not notice them as much because I wouldn't want to notice them as much because I would want to just watch the racing. We got 24 races next year. Do you think it's going to get less tedious or more tedious? And it's always interesting to see what rules they bring in, but if you look at the grid for next year, it's identical to the grid that's ended 2023, which I am fairly confident in saying is the first time that has ever happened. And with the exception of Logan Sargent, everyone is a definite as is, unless injuries happen off season or fallings out or contract issues or sponsorship issues. It's pretty much set in stone that the grid will be the same for 2024 as it's ended 2023. I think Williams will re-sign Logan Sargent because unless Mercedes say, come on, you can have Frederick Vesti, and Vesti is leaving Formula 2, but I don't see it happening. I think Sargent will get a second year at least. And it's not that he doesn't deserve it, it's just, it's not very interesting to see the same field again without any rookies in this. It's just strange. I don't know. It's something is wrong with Formula 1. It's very hard to put your finger on the exact one problem because there's actually quite a few that come to mind. If you like this style of racing, that's fine, but it's not for me. And the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is an example of that. It was tedious. The result was pretty much guaranteed from the start. And we got very little action in this one. Every overtake was DRS assisted. And it's just not interesting to watch. As for the result, Verstappen, 19 out of 22. It's amazing. Perez did well, but he got penalised. Fair penalty. It was a silly defence on his part, or silly move. Russell did well again. Leclerc did well. The same results we've seen. It's nothing too different. Tsunoda, really, the one standout, did a fantastic job and should be very happy with how he's ended the year. I think AlphaTauri will be disappointed they missed out on 6th place. They couldn't beat Williams. I think they lost out by 3 points in the end. But really, as a whole, nothing really changed from last week. And I can see this sort of being the running order next year as well. I don't know. As I said, there is a lot of things going on in the background at the moment, which might be interesting. The fact they're still fighting Andretti getting into Formula 1 makes me sick. I think they should be punished for that. But how you would do that, I don't know. It benefits everyone but the teams that are already there to have another team in Formula 1. I think that you should punish them by getting more teams. I don't care if it's like Dave's dodgy cars from a back alley somewhere. Let them race in Formula 1 and just be hairpins and chicanes for the other teams because just to annoy them. Anything. And they did turn down other teams. So, but if I think Andretti promising that Chrysler, General Motors, whatever, was it Cadillac? I can't remember. I think Chrysler owned by the Stellantis group. I get mixed up who's who. But I think them promising to make their own engines in the future, that's going to be a big thing for Formula 1. And I think that will sway any governing body that has to make a decision in their favour. So I do think we'll see Andretti on the grid. And I look forward to it. The This was a pretty bad way to end the season. It's been a dreadful season, but one of record-breaking performances from Max Verstappen. I don't fault him at all. It's not just the car, because Sergio Perez is driving it as well, and we know Sergio Perez isn't terrible, but Verstappen has done a fantastic job, and that can't be said enough. But hopefully we get some changes and some entertaining racing in the future. This was not it, and I'm sorry if you are offended by me talking about Formula 1 in this manner, but it has been really boring in 2023, and it's a worrying trend. Hopefully someone does something about it, and 2024 will be amazing. We'll find out soon. It's only 3-4 months away, so we don't get that much of a gap. Anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you weren't too annoyed with what I said. If you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. I don't have a problem with that. It's just the way Formula 1 is right now, I don't enjoy it. But leave your thoughts down below. Tell me what you think. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.